Welcome to the Rich Report, a podcast with news and information on cloud computing. Today, my guest is from Certeon. We have Donato Bucella. He is the CTO of Certeon. So, welcome to the show, Donato.
Thank you very much for having me, Rich.
Hey, it's my pleasure. I have your slides up here. Why don't we go into your corporate overview, and we'll follow it with some Q&A, Donato.
Thank you. So Certeon is a 7-year-old company. We are a leader in secure optimized application delivery solution. What that means is that we allow you to access any application from any device across any network and still maintain the level of performance and user experience that you would have if you were using the application under your local network. We serve both the small markets and the medium and large enterprises. We sell through managed service providers and cloud service providers, and also through resellers. We have strategic relationships with VMware, NetApp, DoubleTake, Microsoft, IBM, Dell, etc. And mainly we go to market by chasing applications that have problems when you access them through some sort of a slower network, whether it's a private WAN or the internet. This is some of the examples of the kinds of things that you can achieve by deploying a solution like Certeon solutions. In this case, these group of customers here have achieved basically anywhere from 80 to 50% reduction in the backup time from their main site to their disaster recovery site. So essentially what this affords these companies is the ability to do more backups more often, hence having a better RPO and RTO and meet some sort of a compliance need that they might have as far as data loss. The reason that you need to deploy a solution like ours is because anytime you introduce a slower network, like a wide area network, whether it's private or the internet, essentially you have to deal with bandwidth limitation and you need to deal with latency. And the bandwidth limitation is, the amount of lanes of traffic, so to speak, that you have to your other office or to the internet. And the latency is how far are you physically to the location that you're trying to access. And since we haven't figured out how to go faster than the speed of light, there is no way to overcome that unless you interject the actual traffic itself and you introduce optimizations that allow you to get the performance that overcome the performance limitations of going through a slower medium. What we're talking about is the ability to deal with bandwidth congestion, the ability to overcome packet loss, the ability to change protocols on the fly so that they don't get penalized as heavily with the latency of the protocol themselves. Traditional or old school wide area network technologies are not going to work anymore. And there's actually some data around that. If you look at your traditional WAN optimization market leaders, they actually deploy to many customers, and they would claim penetration in the global 2000s. But then if you look at the actual deployments, what you find is that their solution is only deployed at 5% of the locations where it's necessary. So, to make it simpler terms, if you have 10 offices that they all need acceleration because you have performance problems, they're only getting acceleration in the top 5 percentile of the offices. And the reason for that is that traditional solutions around here are delivered as one-size-fits-all hardware devices. This problem is looked at as a network problem, not as an application problem. So the companies that are selling these solutions are focused on network optimizations, not application optimizations. The other reason that it's important to consider something like Certeon, which is sort of like the new wave of application delivery optimization, is that we're already cloud ready as it is because we're software based. So we don't require a hardware device that's specific to us to operate. We operate in several platforms and pretty much in any way that you can possibly deploy on a cloud or an enterprise environment, and I'll have more detail on that later. So cloud requirements, in order to be able to play and optimize the application delivery through a cloud provider, you need to be able to have a complete optimization stack. And what that means is that all the things that, a complete solution would do, like network optimization, the ability to interject multiple application types, the ability to reduce the data at a very efficient and high rate, need to be part of that solution. The second thing is needs to be scalable. We're talking about a large amount of users accessing applications at the same time over slow connections. And all of these users need to be optimized without making it cost ineffective. In other words, it has to work with reasonable amount of hardware and reasonable amount of infrastructure. It has to be able to perform over time. So regardless of how many users are connecting, coming in and out, the level of performance needs to be maintained in a stable plateau. It has to be easy to deploy. It can't be a one-off every time you bring in a new set of users or a new office or a new set of applications into your environment. It has to be flexible. Also has to be agile. It has to be able to grow and shrink and expand to multiple offices on demand and as situations change within your business. So those are the specific cloud requirements around application delivery. So how do we actually do that? Essentially, you have three things that a complete solution needs to be able to do. Network optimization. These are all the things that you do at the lower layers of the IP stack to be able to move data across a network. We're talking about TCP optimizations, congestion management, the ability to eliminate packet loss, for error correction, all those kinds of things that make the medium for moving the data more effective. The ability to prioritize traffic based on the application type, so you give more bandwidth to some applications versus others. That's part of the application network optimization. Application protocol acceleration, to me, is one of the most important ones that you need to be able to provide to be a complete solution. And this goes specifically to what applications are you specifically able to help. For example, do you allow transfers to go faster by using this technology because you have special ways to handle protocols that were not designed for operating on a wide area network? Things like the ability to eliminate round trips and the effect of latency to the different protocols like HTTP, MAPI, SMTP, FTP, etc., all those applications. And then you have to have a very robust and scalable data reduction technology. The ability to shrink the data that goes over your limited bandwidth is important if you want to support many, many users over the same network connection, whether it's the private link or the internet. The combination of all these three things essentially comes down to a faster response time. Your transaction times are going to be reduced, and the user experience is going to be enhanced. The other key is that it has to be flexible, scalable, and agile in order to support all these different topologies that you see in this slide. This is sort of like your typical enterprise these days, where you have a combination of applications that are still internal to your data center. You have some applications on the cloud at some cloud providers. You have some applications that reside in branches. You have users that reside on small branches, large branches, users that work from home, users that work remotely through a tablet or a phone. And you're accessing some of those things over the internet, for example, directly over the internet, or using an internet overlay like Virtela or Akamai, or you're still utilizing a private MPLS network if you still have voice over IP internally in your organization, or you're using on-demand video applications or things like that. So all of those things need to be managed and accelerated with the same solution. And Certeon is one of the only providers that can actually do this use case that you see right here completely. Being able to interoperate over the internet, over a private link, and a POP-based topology, accelerating the endpoints, whether it's a desktop or a data center. You have to have a solution that does it all. In addition to that, it has to be relevant. You know, if it doesn't accelerate the applications that I have, who cares? So here's a sample of, in specific areas, all the different applications that we're able to optimize. Anywhere from file sharing, email, web-based electronic content management systems, software distribution systems, enterprise apps, database applications, etc. Replication, disaster recovery, backup. I mean, that's huge. If you're able to speed up the amount of time that it takes to do that over the cloud, over the internet, or to a cloud, it's really important to do that. And also traditional, development type applications like management systems for source code, etc. Those are all covered by our solution. We sell our product as pure software. We don't sell any hardware. Essentially, we provide an Accelera Enterprise virtual appliance that runs on 4 hypervisors, plus natively on Amazon EC2. The hypervisors that we support are VMware, vSphere, Microsoft Hyper-V, Citrix Zen, and KVM. The Accelera Enterprise is targeted to enterprise users that are using all the enterprise applications that I mentioned before, and it covers a range of use cases and interoperates across all the different hypervisors that I described. The Accelera for Windows product is the same as the Accelera Enterprise, but instead of being packaged as a virtual appliance, is packaged as a standalone application that you install on a Windows server. And that's targeted for small branch offices where there might not be virtualization, or places where you have constraints on the amount of hardware that you can deploy, and is a low-cost CPE alternative for cloud providers that want to have an accelerator that goes into the end user's computer. The Accelera Sync is the same technology that you find in the Accelera Enterprise, except that it's been pre-tuned and pre-licensed to only managed disaster recovery and backup applications. Again, we don't force you to buy the enterprise version just to do backup and disaster recovery, which will be a smaller number of connections, but a lot of data going through them. The Accelera client software, again, is something that goes either on your laptop and desktop if you're a mobile user, roaming user, and in the short-term future is also going to go on tablets and phones as well. So you can be connected from anywhere and get the acceleration privileges. The Accelera Cloud is essentially the Accelera Enterprise product, except that it provides all the interconnectivity modules in order to operate as a cloud interconnect device. So in other words, it basically allows a cloud provider that provides not only acceleration, but secure interconnectivity, gateway services, and a way to extend a private network into the customer network in a seamless way without you having to provide your own VPN gear, your own routers, etc. It's a one point-to-point solution that does everything for you, including the acceleration. That's something that we're going to ship on Q1 of next year. And all of these products are managed to our Accelera CMS system, which is a centralized management system that allows you to configure, monitor, update, all these different products at the same time in your enterprise. What the cloud service providers want is predictable SLAs. Essentially, they want to maintain the same level of service regardless of what the customer connection and situation is. Also, they want to make it easy when a customer decides that they want to move an application to the cloud. They want to make it easy on them on how to actually move the application itself, the data for the first-time load, and also the whole process of getting up and running on the cloud. And that includes things like the service creation, the networking part of connecting to the cloud provider. It also needs to be flexible from a way to price it. So in other words, you know, and it can't be sort of like a static sort of a model like buying a box and hardware box and appliance. It has to be sort of more of a pay-per-use model, and the only way to do that is with some sort of a software-based solution like ours. It also needs to be able to grow with the customer. If the customer adds more users or adds new offices or expands the number of applications that are used in the cloud, you need to be able to grow seamlessly without creating ripples or interruptions. So that's sort of the requirements of the cloud providers. The enterprises want to reduce costs. Essentially, they don't want to continue to buy higher bandwidth links. They don't want to add more bandwidth to connect to the internet or go to better, faster internet providers. They don't even want to go to an internet overlay if they can avoid it to run their application data. They want to be able to get up and running fast. They don't want to wait and make it a whole project to connect a new office to a cloud provider or to their own data center. They also want to have broad application support. I mean, the whole point here is that do I solve the application slowness or lack of performance problem? And that needs to be sort of like the important part here of this discussion. So let's get into that. The next slide talks about sort of like what you would expect on a cloud. If you look at this slide here, these are actual transfer of some sort of file types by utilizing Amazon EC2 from our Boston location. The ping time in this particular test was 120 milliseconds point to point. This is about a 6 megabit link to the internet. And what we were seeing is, you know, a 5 megabyte file was taking, you know, 18 seconds, for example. I'm just picking one. And if you go through the Accelera, it was taking under a second. So that's a very dramatic accelerated versus unaccelerated difference there. So this is some of the things that you should expect that a mature, high-performance, complete solution should provide to you, and that's certainly what Certeon provides. To summarize, you know, the way cloud is utilized and implemented is going to continue to evolve. What's not going to change is that the data is going to continue to grow. Mobility is going to be a key issue. More access is going to happen remotely through tablets and phones. The way infrastructure will be deployed, managed, and used is through virtualization. The operational model is all, you know, going to be remoted. It's all going to be automated. It has to be sort of like portalized, so to speak. And the optimization is key here, because if you're moving the applications away from the user, you need to maintain the same user experience. So this just is a requirement, and it all has to be done, you know, in a complete and performing and cost-effective way. So it applies to everybody, cloud providers and application consumers. So everybody benefits. Cloud providers benefit because they don't have to build a data center in every city, so that they're close to all their customers. And application consumers gives them flexibility to be able to use any provider that they want, regardless of where they're located. So that's the end of the presentation. So I'll open it up to questions now.
Well, thank you, Donato. I'm curious about when your customers first come to you about the situation they're in. So, do they see their networks just bogging down and they're looking at like extreme costs for upgrades to their either their network equipment, or they got to buy another T1 line, that kind of thing, big costs, and are they looking for a lower cost kind of solution to get this fixed, or is that a typical kind of scenario?
Yes, and there's a couple more things too. Sometimes it's not the network bogging down; it's a specific application. So, to give you an example, a bank customer, they basically go to an application that has 4 pages that, for some of their offices, it was taking up to 45 seconds to load. It happens to have been SharePoint, and essentially the user population, that had to go to those 4 pages every day, it was extremely frustrated, because every time they wanted to see the new rates or they wanted to see the new products that they were selling that day, they had to wait 45 seconds. That was extremely frustrating. So they come to us and say, can you lower this, to 5 seconds? So that's sort of more of the typical scenario, because you can't do it by just increasing bandwidth, because it's at some most of the time is a latency problem, not necessarily a bandwidth problem. So the key is more about the application performance than the bandwidth.
And just to double click on what's going on under the hood, you're doing data compression. Are you also doing like a custom protocol instead of TCP/IP? Are you doing something like UDP or something like that under the hood?
Yes, we're doing our own protocol in between when the traffic goes from one point to the other, utilizing the wide area network or the internet. But the magic really happens we are a symmetric solution, so you have one on each side, and essentially each side talks to the other side using a special protocol that takes advantage of all the measures that the accelerator can do to overcome some of the limitations of the native protocols for some of these applications. So we are like a man in the middle type of an application.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very interesting. So, what kind of reactions are you getting from customers that have switched over to this? They're seeing dramatic differences, like you described. Is that a typical kind of thing they might be seeing?
Yeah, it is pretty dramatic. The bank customer that I described, we were able to knock down the load time to under 7 seconds from 45. That was very well received by those guys. We had customers that actually noticed when we did an evaluation and we took it out, after the evaluation was over, and they actually noticed and complained that what happened to the network now all of a sudden is really slow. So that's a typical reaction. I mean, it is really dramatic. When you're talking about backup, for example, the being able to shorten the backup from 8 hours to 2 hours allows these IT shops to do a lot more with a lot less time. So it's pretty dramatic what they experience.
Well, great. Well, Donato, just kind of a wrap-up question here is, if someone's interested in this kind of solution, how do they engage with Certeon? Is it through partners, or do you guys deal directly?
Yeah, they can come to our website, www.certeon.com, and we will point them to the right reseller or the right way to engage with us. That would be the easiest way to engage.
Very good. Well, I want to thank you for coming on the show today. This has been very interesting, and good luck with that.
Thank you very much, Rich, for having me.
Okay. That's it for the Rich Report, folks. Stay tuned for more news and information on cloud computing.